Hello everyone, welcome to another video from Journaling Planet. My name's Helen and I'm very happy to have you here. In today's video I'm going to make a Scribbly Masterboard. That's a technical term. It's basically when you get a large sheet of paper and you put lots of squiggles and stencils and any kind of media you've got really all over the place. I decided to start with some stenciling to get some interesting patterns down and then take it more freehand from there. Much like a masterboard that you would cut and paste onto, this is going to get chopped up into small pieces. So I'm not concerned about covering the whole stencil or keeping the stencil steady even as I'm doing this. I don't really mind what kind of motifs come out of it. I'm just wanting to create some kind of pattern, some kind of motif on the paper so that when it's cut up it looks interesting. As you can see, some of these stencils have never been used. You can tell that because they're clean. I'm absolutely terrible at cleaning off stencils and stamps. Every now and then I just give them a nice bubble bath in the sink because I'm quite lazy and just generally give them a quick wipe down when I'm done with them. So given that I've never used some of these stencils before, it's a good opportunity, this project, to use things that have been sitting in your drawer that you thought you really wanted to use when you bought them, and then you just sort of forgot about them. Pull out all your colours, pull out all your stencils, pull out all your inks, crayons if you've got them, pencil crayons, whatever you've got. Just pull it out the drawer and let's just throw it down and see what happens. For this foundation layer, I am trying to use contrasting colours, so pink and yellow, pink and green, things that will stand out next to each other. Then as I move on to the crayons, I'm a little bit less prescriptive and just kind of doodle however I want, wherever I want, in whatever colour takes my fancy, really. Here's me putting some fine detail on with a fine liner. As you can see, I'm a trained artist, putting very delicate and difficult lines all over the place. It's one of the things that I love about projects like this. You just do not have to be a trained artist or even have any artistic skill to do it. You can just make some patterns and have a fun time doing it whilst you're on. If you wanted to, you could put some very deep thought behind a project like this, selecting carefully colours to match your mood or the kind of tone you want to create. Also thinking about the shapes that you create and the way in which you doodle or move the pencil from side to side so that it creates a particular impression for the viewer. I didn't do any of these things. I just wanted to have a bit of fun with the colours I had at hand. Like all masterboards, it's going to look a bit of a state at this point in the game. Remember, it's when we cut up a masterboard that we really see the beauty of it, because all of the little details are emphasised more for just looking at a small portion of it. Thought I should say that when I make these tutorials, my hope is that they're really helpful to you in your craft and offer you some inspiration about what you might do with your own stash. I appreciate also all the likes and comments and subscribes I've had to this channel recently. It's been very overwhelming in the most wonderful way. Once I got some colour down, I decided to go in with some paint and ink and generally splash it around to add another layer of interest. Some of these inks have not yet been opened. It's quite shocking given that some of them I think have been sat there a couple of years. Time for me to do more projects like this where I'm just getting the ink on the paper. And once I'd created my spatters, I just decided to go in with a paintbrush and basically swish it all around. Just see what happened. I was just interested to see what kind of effect it would create. Quite liked how it turned out. It's so interesting how different they look once they've been cut down. The smaller details are so much more dominant on the piece of paper. Some lovely contrast with some of the colours that I put down there. Because this is a masterboard where I've just put paint down rather than cut and paste, it's not as sturdy as other kinds of masterboards, so I do need to back it with some scrap pieces of card in order to make the journaling cards that I want to create. It's weird how putting a backing on them and rounding the corners somehow makes them look more like a thing rather than just a random piece of scrap paper. Just goes to show that small touches can make a really big difference in any of your craft projects. So if something isn't working out the way you hoped, don't write it off straight away. See it through to the end and see if some additional tweaks and additions can make a difference to how it looks. To decorate these two pieces, I've decided that I'm going to use some stickers, and I'm also going to use some decoupage pieces that I made out of newspaper. I will link to the video where I talk about how to make those decoupage pieces out of newspaper below. And I've just shown you on screen the sticker book that I use. That was a present to myself for completing one of my novels. I do not have an employee incentive scheme because I am self-employed as an author, so when I complete something important like a novel or it gets published, then I treat myself to something like a craft supply or occasionally a record on vinyl from one of my favourite artists. I decided to go for a playing card look to this first one. And then for this second one, I decided that I was just going to do 3 things down the middle. A skull, a vintage bottle of perfume, because those 2 things go together, and a knight from a chessboard. And yeah, I know these things don't actually go together, but what can I tell you? It felt good to put them in that order. The glue that I'm using is just a mix of white glue and water, just a little bit of water to make it more runny. Other than that, that's that step done, and the journaling cards are ready to dry, after which I'll ink them. I decided that I would put a tab at the side of this journaling card. I have done it with the other ones that I've made off camera as well, which I'll show you in a moment. I do have a tutorial on how to make these tabs as one of my ideas for what to do with leftover card. I will link to that below, but as you can see, it's essentially rounding the corners and then inking around. And afterwards I glue it and staple it in place. And here come the other cards that I've created. There's a mix of decoupage and stickers on them, and I've inked around them and added tabs where I thought necessary. This one is completely plain, just the masterboard, just showing off the abstract technique there. I really like that one. And then just the giraffe on its own with the tab. Just thought it sort of spoke for itself. A lot of these are kind of weird, like an aeroplane and a flower. I mean, how does that go together? But I just like these random compositions. I think they push me to do things a little bit different to what I've done them in the past. So wherever possible, I try not to resist the randomness. I think that these 2 are my favourites, the abstract one and the playing card one. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments, and thanks for tuning in.